But first, let's get to the partisan bickering in Washington over this troubled economy. NBC's White House correspondent Savannah Guthrie has more on this. Savannah, good morning to you.
Good morning, Matt. As the president begins this week, he faces concern he's taking on too much all at once and needs to focus on the ailing economy. The president and first lady attended a birthday tribute Sunday night to Senator Ted Kennedy at the Kennedy Center, while the debate in Washington continued over whether the president's policies are responsible for the slide on Wall Street.
Well, the stimulus package passed, and look at the stock market. The budget is a radical, reckless exercise that's scaring the hell out of everybody who is watching this country's financial situation.
I wouldn't measure the stock market over the day-to-day as to how well we're doing. I think that you're going to have to give the president's plans, which are just taking effect this week, some time to work.
The White House insists the Dow is not a measure of how Americans view the president's plans.
Well, it's pretty clear that people don't use the Dow as a referendum on his policies. Otherwise, the decline in the Dow would have been accompanied by much greater declines in his poll standing.
Still, the president is trying to instill confidence, striking a reassuring tone in his weekly address.
I'm confident that at this defining moment, we will prove ourselves worthy of the sacrifice of those who came before us.
And in an interview with New York Times reporters aboard Air Force One.
What I don't think people should do is to suddenly stuff money in their mattresses and pull back, completely from spending. I don't think that people should be fearful about our future.
But with the economy hemorrhaging jobs, 650,000 lost last month alone, some question whether a second stimulus may be needed, and whether the administration's budget forecasts, which count on the economy growing next year, are too optimistic.
We need to give this Recovery Act some time to work. I don't think we should be chasing our tail, constantly revising assumptions. Let's see what happens, let it work.
Well, today the president will turn briefly to science. He's going to lift limits on federal dollars for stem cell research that will reverse Bush administration policy, Matt.
All right, Savannah Guthrie at the White House this morning. Savannah, thank you very much. Former Tennessee Congressman Harold Ford Jr. is the chairman of the Democratic Leadership Council and an NBC News political analyst. Nicole Wallace is a Republican strategist who served as a senior political advisor to the McCain-Palin campaign and a communications director for President George W. Bush. Big intros for both of you guys. Good morning. Nice to see you.
It means we do nothing. So
yeah, that's all right. But you have good intros. Nicole, let me start with you. Lindsey Graham basically says the 20% we've seen the Dow drop over the last month or so is a referendum on the policies of Barack Obama. Does he deserve the blame for this?
Well, look, like a lot of people, I've been watching a lot of CNBC these days, and the market is certainly an indicator. If it's not the only one, it's an indicator. And more important than what any Republican or Democrat says is the perception of Obama's policy so far. And the perception is that we have farther to fall and that we haven't yet inspired confidence in the markets and in our stability.
Harold, is he being blamed for something that is a leftover of the economy as a whole, and is that appropriate?
This is a 10 to 15-year problem. A lot of borrowing, a lot of spending, a lot of consumption, and not enough production here. He now has the reality of having to deal with this. Two things. One, the banking system. They need to be clearer, need to be more forceful and assertive. My understanding is that the president and his team, they're working on this. The stress tests for the banks are a big part of that. They got to figure out this credit default swap industry in many ways.
But you're going past the original question here.
So isn't
there some logic maybe that investors out there are looking at the stimulus plan and saying, we think it's too heavy on spending and not heavy enough on tax cuts? They're looking at the budget and looking at the spending in that, and maybe they're just scared. So why isn't a referendum?
I don't think it's just the stimulus is a part of it. The real issue here is our banking system, our financial system as we know, and how do you get credit flowing again? That's the real challenge for the administration now. The politics, the yelling back and forth, I watched some of the shows on our great network. The reality is, until you get the banking system moving the right way, the stimulus package is a secondary conversation.
Let me talk about the way that the president has articulated the problem. Nicole, I'll start with you. He started out his administration by lowering expectations. He talked doom and gloom. He said things are going to get worse before they get better. In the last couple of weeks, he's turned the corner in a much more hopeful language. Did he wait too long?
Well, look, I think this is a balance that any president, certainly the president I worked for, struggled with this, and every president struggles with the absolute requirement that you speak directly, speak straight talk to the American people. But I think that it started to feel like he was rooting against some of the more successful. I think pitting people against each other, some of this that's been perceived, again, perception is reality, as class warfare and as penalizing the successful and the prosperous has really bit them in the rear end. And I think, we were having a debate in the green room about how long he had. He really does remain very popular and very strong. These are missed opportunities. They're not just mistakes, they're missed opportunities.
Which you bring up a good point. I think you'll agree with this. If this really were a referendum on his popularity, then as the Dow dropped, his popularity would have dropped as well.
He has an incredible amount of credibility and leverage. He's going to have to use some of that leverage here over the next several weeks, maybe even the next few weeks. To come up with a plan that may be a little painful, a little difficult politically for his own party to accept, whether it's around the banking issues or budget issues, and certainly probably difficult for some Republicans to accept.
He's got a spending bill to sign this week, $410 billion. It keeps the lights turned on through the end of this fiscal year. It also contains about 2% earmarks. He campaigned saying, I'm going to do away with wasteful spending. Should he sign it?
This is something he didn't put together. He probably will have to sign this to get on to the business of putting his own budget together moving forward.
Any president is stronger than that, and certainly this president. It is so impotent to say there's nothing I can do. His budget director came out with the lamest message I've heard since the inauguration of Barack Obama. There's nothing we can do about it. It's the ninth inning. Any president is strong enough to say this is full of pork, something I campaigned against. This actually wasn't a debate between John McCain and Barack Obama. They agreed that this earmark spending was something that they had to get rid of, and any president can say
give you the
that.
last 15 seconds.
Going forward, if the president allows the next budget to be full of earmarks and pork, I would agree with you. This one here, there are too many other things on the plate. Sign it. Let's get on to the banking issue and get on to next year's budget, and then we can have this debate again.
Harold Ford Jr. and Nicole Wallace. Thanks, folks. Good to have you both here.